So we already kind of talked about debugging, but I will reiterate. So we opened up the Chrome Web Inspector, and it was cool, and we all love it. And someone was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. And that's all awesome and good. But what you might not have known is that every single browser has a debugger. Even if it doesn't have a debugger, it still has a debugger. So Firefox has a debugger called Firebug. And that is something that you add. So Firefox has its own web inspector, but Firebug is definitely the debugger you want to use. And everyone knows Firebug, right? Don't need to go into that. Dragonfly. That is Opera's version of the debugger. It is awesome, and it does remote debugging. So that's there. Then Internet Explorer has F12. And I don't have Internet Explorer up here. So I will just do an interpretive dance. Now, so one thing to know about F12, when you are debugging and you have the F12 debugger open, and I will do an interpretive dance. So you're looking at the screen, let's say it's cut in half here, and here's the debugger, and you're in Elements. And there's an arrow here. And you click on that arrow, and you go into your content that is dynamically generated, and you're like, WTF, I can't click on anything. And so you hate the IE debugger, right? Everyone here hate the IE debugger? What you might not have known is if you look at where that arrow is, approximately over here, let's say, in this imaginary debugger, is a blue little refresh sign. When you click on that blue refresh, it actually refreshes the debugger to read the current DOM. So you can actually, when you're using IE as a debugger, it works almost, turn this off because I'm going to compliment Microsoft and I don't want that caught on tape. I'm just kidding. It works almost as well as the other debuggers. You can actually target the nodes in the DOM that was generated. And most people don't know that. Did you guys know that, not know that? Okay, so that is like the most, in terms of everything I've talked about in IE, that is the most important thing that you will have learned. And I'm surprised that with all the JavaScript that we've gone through that you guys never learned that, because that is so not known and so important. And then in terms of the debugger, you also know that you can change from IE9 to IE8 and IE7, that you guys know. And other than that, it's kind of a crappy debugger. But it does what it needs to do. Then, so that's Internet Explorer. Then we have Safari, which just like Chrome, has an awesome developer toolkit, which I do Option Command I. And so it updated, and I no longer have the icons, but I'm sure that's a setting. So a few things to learn about this. There's this setting right here. As you can see, I have this docked on my right, which I find, except for when I'm doing presentations, it's actually easier to dock it on the bottom. But when I'm developing, I dock it on the right, because usually I'm reading stuff in this order, not in that order. You can change where it's located down here. Or
there, yeah.
It used to be here. They've taken it down and they've put it down in the bottom now. So I'm actually looking at this going, wow, that looks completely different than it did yesterday when I crashed my browser. So here are settings. And everything is looking really weird. Oops. And I just opened up my email, and yeah, everything's going haywire. Okay, I'm just going to make it smaller. Nope. So you can make the font bigger, so that when you do presentations, because that's what you guys are doing all the time. But yeah, this should have worked. And it looks different than it did yesterday, so it's always nice to get surprised. You have overrides. Here you can change the user agent. So you can actually tell it to be an iPad, to be a BlackBerry, etc. You can actually change the screen resolution. So you can basically say, hey, I think you can actually do deep DPI, or you can't. You can override the device orientation. You can emulate touch events. There's all sorts of stuff that you did not know that you could do in here. Another thing that is fairly new, so you might know because you guys have been in this course, but most people around the world don't know, is the frames, the timeline. And I will open this up during animation, but you go like this, and you press record, and you reload the page, and it tells you how long it took to load, and to repaint, and to recalculate everything. And so when you're doing performance, this is really important. There's something called Winery. And Winery is a mobile debugger that works on all WebKit. And basically, let's go over it. I'm not going to show it to you, but I'm going to show you how to install it because it's only 5 steps. So you install Node.js. Who here has Node.js installed on their computer? Almost everyone. If not, it's a quick install. Even if you don't use it, you can still install it. When you install Node.js, there's 2 ways to install Winery. There's a Java way and a JavaScript way. And because I do JavaScript and not Java, I did it the JavaScript way. So then at the command line, once you have Node.js, you have npm. I think the guy who invented npm doesn't remember what npm stands for. I don't know what it stands for.
Node package manager.
No, because he actually said it wasn't Node.
So it stands for nothing.
Maybe nothing package manager. He said it wasn't Node. Yeah. So he doesn't, but I never heard what the N stood for. -g install Winery, and it will install that package. Then to start Winery at the command line, you just type in Winery, and who knows, I might have it started already, but I'm going to find my window, quit out of my email account. No, that is not what I want to do. Oh, shoot. I hate when because I don't actually put all of my shortcuts into the bash file. I just do aliases, and now I just lost all my aliases, and I'm bummed. Okay, I should just put in my bash file and stop being lazy about it. But so here, when I get a thing, I type in Winery, but it's not on. Oh, because it's reloading all 4. Okay, so Winery is started, and that was all it took for me to get started. And then I go to localhost 8080. And here's my inspector, or it gives me the links and everything I need to do. So for it to work, in my HTML, I just have to put this script right here. No. Yes. Let me just go back to the instructions. Close out of that one. Close out. Oh, shoot, I just closed the wrong window. History. Okay, there we are. Okay, at least I'm in the right. So you put this in your HTML file, and so that will link to this script. And then you click on this right here, and this is the debugger. And you might note that it says Winery, then it says Elements, Resources, Network, Timeline, and Console. It's not connected to anything, but this kind of looks like the debugger, right? But you see it's a browser window. You can actually debug your debugger if you wanted to. So we could debug this way. You see the difference? This is the debugger for my Winery window. So basically, it's a debugger. It will, as long as you have to be on the same network. So you put it in your HTML file, you load it up on your phone, and as long as you're on the same network, you can debug. So that's how Winery works. And you open the inspector through there. So that one's covered. There we went through Winery. BlackBerry, the BlackBerry 10. I am surprised. Who here has a BlackBerry 10? Is it even out? It is out, right? Okay, I was making fun of BlackBerry till like 3 months ago, because I even tweeted when I went to the BlackBerry conference. I was like, whoever said that people don't use BlackBerries? I'm at the BlackBerry conference, and at least 20% of the people here have BlackBerries. BlackBerry 10 has a really awesome browser and a really awesome debugger. It's as awesome as the Chrome debugger was about 6 months ago. So that's how good it is. I mean, because the Chrome debugger, they add new tools they're releasing all the time. They have the Shadow DOM. There's tons of stuff. But the BlackBerry debugger is just almost as good. And so what you do is you actually turn on, in your BlackBerry, you turn it on. You say, yes, I want to debug. And then on your computer, you look for it. and you just put the IP address, and you can debug by IP address. So it's pretty simple. And mobile Chrome, you can debug by being tethered, so if you don't have Winery. Then there's something else. I don't know if I have it here. I don't. Okay. There's Adobe came out with a product called Adobe Shadow, which they, I think, call now Edge Inspector. And it's basically Winery with a shell on it. And it's free to debug one phone. So you can use it just like you would Winery, because with Winery, you're debugging one phone. But if you want to pay $9.99 a month, which I think is a bit ridiculous for a debugger, but if you're doing mobile development and you have 12 devices, think about, that's less than an hour of time. And that's, going like this to all your devices is a pain in the ass. Oh, because I just did it. I'm writing a book on mobile, and I had like 15 devices on my couch, and I don't know why I didn't sign up for Winery. It would have been much easier, but it just didn't clue into me. And I'm hitting refresh and then refresh and refresh and screenshot on all these devices. And then the batteries died on half of them, and I'm like, maybe I should get off the couch and onto a table where I can do this much easier. But I'm like, but the couch is so comfy. So anyway, that is my life. So it's called Adobe Edge, and it basically adds the JavaScript in for you, and then you can, on your computer here, you can change a page, and then all your devices will change to that page. So that's pretty cool. So I already covered this, but these are the things that I learned from the debugger. When I did a screen capture, these were the styles that were listed. And because they listed these styles and the shadow DOM, I actually found out what a scroll bar was, and I styled my scroll bar, right? Because this does not look like your average scroll bar. And I did that with the shadow DOM. So we covered the shadow DOM, but I'll cover it again. Oops. I'll just do back here. Okay, elements. I can't find the shadow DOM right now on this. It should be showing me the selector. Oh, because it goes on forever. I don't see any arrows, but you saw the shadow DOM earlier when I was doing the forms. I don't need to find it, do I? You guys are good with it? Okay, good. So when I showed you from the forms, that was the shadow DOM. And so here, this is how I styled the scroll bar. I just said the scroll bar should be brownish, or is that blue? I don't know. Oh yeah, that's blue. That's the background color blue. Then the track right here should have a box shadow. The thumb, which is this brown thing, should be brown. And window inactive. I guess that was a pseudo class at the time. I haven't, this is the type of stuff that I use the shadow DOM for, and I don't even remember what it means, because window inactive, I guess that means the window's inactive, but I haven't actually used that, and I can't remember what it means. So this is the kind of stuff you can learn from your debuggers. So use your debuggers as a learning tool.